Imagine this moment. You're in the middle of a conversation with someone who matters deeply to you. At first, it's just a disagreement. Voices are slightly raised, tension begins to build. Then suddenly, they say something that cuts far deeper than the argument itself. A sentence that feels unfair, dismissive, or painfully personal. In an instant, your body reacts. Your heart starts beating faster. A tight pressure forms in your chest. Your throat feels heavy, as if something is physically blocking the words from coming out. For a brief moment, you know exactly what you want to say. Your mind fills with responses, explanations, defenses. But strangely, nothing comes out. Instead of arguing back, instead of defending yourself, you fall completely silent. From the outside, that silence can be misunderstood. The other person might assume you don't care enough to respond. They may think you're avoiding the conversation, shutting down the discussion, or even admitting defeat. But inside your mind, something very different is happening. Your thoughts are racing. Emotions collide all at once. Hurt, confusion, anger, disappointment. It feels like a storm building behind a locked door. So why does this happen? Why do some people lose their voice exactly at the moment they are hurt the most? To answer that question, we have to look far deeper than communication. We have to explore the hidden survival systems of the human brain.
I told you this wouldn't work. Why did you even bother showing up?
Because I thought we could talk, but you're just yelling again.
Why won't you say anything? I came all this way because I thought you wanted to see me, but you're just shutting me out. Why are you even defending him? He knows what he did.
I'm not defending him, I'm just saying you're overreacting.
Both of you.
To understand why silence appears in painful moments, we need to look beyond communication and into the deeper machinery of the human brain. At the center of this process is a small but powerful structure called the amygdala. Think of it as the brain's internal alarm system. Its job is simple: constantly scan the environment for threats, both physical and emotional. When someone says something that deeply hurts or threatens our sense of safety, the amygdala reacts instantly. It sends a signal through the nervous system that something is wrong. In that moment, the brain shifts out of calm reasoning and into survival mode. Most people are familiar with the classic responses: fight or flight. Fight prepares us to confront the threat, arguing, defending ourselves, pushing back. Flight prepares us to escape, walking away, leaving the conversation, avoiding the situation. But psychology recognizes two additional survival responses that are just as powerful: freeze and fawn. The freeze response is especially important here. Instead of attacking or escaping, the nervous system essentially hits the emergency brake. Your body becomes still. Your mind may feel blank. Words that were forming just seconds ago suddenly disappear. This is why many people who are deeply hurt fall silent. It is not necessarily a deliberate choice. The nervous system is trying to prevent the situation from escalating further. In simple terms, the brain believes that staying quiet may be the safest option. According to modern neuroscience and theories such as polyvagal theory, when the brain perceives an environment as emotionally unsafe, the nervous system may shift into a protective shutdown state. In this state, speaking, reacting, or confronting the threat feels almost impossible. So when someone goes silent in a painful moment, it is often not weakness or avoidance. It may simply be the nervous system trying to protect them. While the nervous system explains how silence happens, our past experiences often explain why the brain reacts this way in the first place. The way we handle emotional conflict is rarely random. It is shaped, slowly and quietly, by the environments we grew up in and the relationships we have experienced over time. For many people who go silent when hurt, the pattern can often be traced back to early emotional experiences. Imagine growing up in a household where emotions were not welcomed. If you cried, you might have been told you were too sensitive. If you expressed anger, you may have been labeled disrespectful. If you tried to explain your feelings, adults might have dismissed them with phrases like, "It's not a big deal," or "You're overreacting." Over time, a powerful psychological message forms in the mind. Your feelings are not safe to express. Children adapt quickly to the emotional rules of their environment. If speaking up leads to criticism, punishment, or dismissal, the brain begins to associate vulnerability with danger. Silence becomes the safer option. Later in life, this pattern can be reinforced through toxic relationships. Some people have experienced partners who constantly invalidated their emotions, twisted their words, or used manipulation tactics like gaslighting. In these situations, every attempt to communicate pain is met with confusion, blame, or denial. After enough experiences like this, the mind begins to form a painful belief. Speaking up changes nothing. Psychologists call this phenomenon learned helplessness. When someone repeatedly experiences that their voice has no impact, or worse, creates more conflict, the brain stops trying. Silence, then, is not laziness or emotional weakness. It is often the quiet survival strategy of someone whose voice was ignored too many times in the past. Beyond past experiences, personality traits can also play a powerful role in why some people go quiet when they are hurt. Many individuals who respond with silence tend to have deeply reflective and emotionally sensitive personalities. Psychologists often describe this group as highly sensitive persons, or HSPs. These individuals process emotional information more deeply than average. They notice subtle changes in tone, facial expressions, and emotional energy in a room. When conflict happens, their brains do not just register the words being said. They also absorb the emotional atmosphere surrounding the situation. This can quickly create a flood of feelings and thoughts all at once. As a result, their minds may begin rapidly analyzing the situation. Why did they say that? Did I misunderstand something? What is the right way to respond without making things worse? This intense mental processing can lead to something psychologists sometimes call analysis paralysis. The person is thinking so much about the situation that they temporarily lose the ability to respond in the moment. There is also another powerful factor: empathy. People who are highly empathetic are often deeply aware of how their words might affect others. Even when they are the ones who feel hurt, they may hesitate to react because they fear escalating the conflict or causing further emotional damage. Ironically, their silence is sometimes an attempt to protect the relationship itself. While silence can protect us in the heat of the moment, staying silent for too long can carry a hidden cost. When painful emotions are repeatedly pushed down instead of expressed, they don't simply disappear. They remain inside, slowly accumulating beneath the surface. What begins as hurt can gradually transform into resentment. At first, the change is subtle. You may start feeling slightly more distant from the person who hurt you. Conversations become shorter. Emotional openness fades. Without realizing it, a quiet wall begins to form between you and the people around you. Relationship researchers, including psychologist John Gottman, describe a similar pattern called stonewalling, a situation where emotional withdrawal replaces communication. Over time, this silent distance can weaken even the strongest relationships because unresolved pain slowly erodes trust and intimacy. But the impact is not limited to relationships. Suppressing emotions can also take a serious toll on mental and physical health. Studies in psychology have linked chronic emotional suppression to increased stress, anxiety, and depression. When emotions are constantly bottled up, the body remains in a prolonged state of tension, often accompanied by elevated cortisol levels. In other words, the body continues carrying the emotional weight that the mind tried to hide. Silence may keep the peace temporarily, but when pain remains unspoken for too long, it often finds other ways to surface. If you recognize yourself in this pattern of going silent when you are hurt, the first step toward change is self-compassion. Your silence did not appear out of nowhere. At some point in your life, it likely served a purpose. It may have protected you from conflict, rejection, or emotional harm. In that sense, your mind wasn't failing you. It was trying to keep you safe. But healing means slowly teaching your brain that it is now safe to express your voice. One powerful technique therapists often recommend is called the pause with a promise. When you feel yourself freezing during an argument, you don't have to explain everything immediately. Instead, try saying something simple like, "I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, and I need some time to process this. Let's talk about it later." This short sentence can completely change the dynamic of a conflict. It protects your emotional space while still keeping communication open. Another helpful strategy is writing before speaking. If the words feel stuck in your throat, writing your thoughts in a message or journal can help organize your emotions and make them easier to express later. Because the truth is this: your feelings matter, and your voice deserves to be heard. If this video resonated with you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel for more psychology insights that help you understand yourself and others. And in the comments below, tell us, do you tend to speak up when you're hurt, or do you go silent? Your experience might help someone else feel less alone.
Look, I've thought about it a lot, and I don't think this is working out.